That is a different animal, right?
That was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But I mean, what an experience.
I don't know that.
As you do.
I don't know. That's the sort of thing that you should really call. It doesn't do great numbers for them, does it?
There's no disservice.
You saw it at some college and you
yeah.
were like, I don't want to play in this one, but it's too small.
Too small. Who doesn't want to hear Tom say bobble off the top, or he's got the hot hand, or any of Tom's classic phrases?
Too big, too strong.
Too big, too strong.
Too big, too strong.
That's got to be my favourite.
So it's the gap in the standard for me is the big blocker, and that's what needs addressing. I think by introducing National League 2, we can do that. Get around. It's been said.
Clip it.
That'll be the thumbnail.
Clip it, yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 5th episode of the For Korf's Sake podcast, hosted by me, James Sawyer, and the silly goose, Caitlin Fitzgerald.
I've had icon, legend. I was really wondering what adjective you were going to come up with, but that's probably my favourite and most accurate.
Yeah, no more gas for you. That's it now. That's just silly intros every time.
There we go. Perfect.
How's your week been, Caitlin?
Yeah, all good. Obviously, no Korfball again, National League wise at the weekend. But yeah, looking forward to returning to that this weekend. But yeah, plenty of other Korfball content over the weekend though, which we're going to chat about now, I think. So yeah,
nice. Yeah, there was. I may butcher the pronunciation of this. Studskanal 74, I believe, is the club, but they host a tournament. Got the details here. It's 12 teams from 4 different continents that all compete, and we've got debuts for Canada, the United States, which is awesome to see, and then there was also a team from Zimbabwe there as well, which is just unreal. So great to see genuinely a spread of teams internationally, right?
Yeah, lots of good clips online. Korfball.style, of course, always delivering, some very entertaining clips, particularly from the Zimbabwean team. Also, yeah, really great to see a return of the USA indoor Korfball team. Were around many years ago, but yeah, really great to see them back and have teams from all over at a tournament. Always lovely to see it in Korfball.
Yeah, love to see a bit of content as well. It gave us a bit of weekly content, and congratulations to Wales for securing the victory. Yeah, really great to see one of the home nations. Do we call it really? One of the home nations getting it done. Seeing Wilcox lift a trophy was a lovely addition to a Saturday or a Sunday. I can't remember what day it was, but let's keep it to one trophy this year. Just let him lift the one trophy. Let's not have him lifting any more at the end of the season. But yeah, great to see it from them. I really loved watching it. There was some fantastic games, and really shout out. I think his name's Chris Banham. I watched him play at one point. I think he scored like 5 of the first 8 goals or something crazy. So great watch overall. Should also probably call out Caitlin, and I haven't watched too much of this content. It was a busy weekend. I did play Korfball. Beck too played Korfball, but it was a busy weekend as well for England. So we had our under 13s, 15s and 17s all playing in Flanders. I think, is that correct?
Yes. The Flanders tournament takes place at this time of year in Belgium every year. It's definitely one of my favourite memories from being in the youth setup. But yeah, all the games were compiled into one massive live stream. Only managed to see a few bits of it, but standout for me was the England under-17s, kind of really going toe-to-toe with Belgium for a long time. Ended up losing, I think, by 5 or 7 goals, but the game was close for a long period, and that's really encouraging to see. So, yeah, big congrats to everyone involved with the coaching staff, players and the parents that helped make that happen.
Yeah, awesome. Great news there. So congrats are all in order all around. But, Caitlin, with that being said, we'll quickly let the listeners know that we have an exciting guest coming on today. We have one of the voices of English Korfball. Jess Davies is going to join us a little bit later, and she's going to talk us through the promo league that her team Birmingham are currently a part of. I'm really excited to get some content on that and the teams around that. And then also we'll obviously chat to her all about her life in Korfball and also just being the voice, her and Tom Brady alongside, we're on the BBC at one point. Pretty cool, huh? But in the meantime, we do have National League fixtures this week. The 2-week break is over. and we now have the fixtures back. So we are very excited to quickly take a look forward into what the fixtures are this week and, talk about some key matchups. So you ready to go through it, Caitlin?
I am indeed.
Right. So the first fixture we have on our fixture list is going to be Kingfisher versus Knights, Norwich Knights. Want to call out that last year, their results was a 22-17 win for Knights. And then they also played out a 30-30 draw, which has probably got to be one of the best games. I mean, 60 goals in 60 minutes is unreal. But they were the last year's results. I think Knights are currently 9th in the league. I think Kingfisher may be 7th. I need to check that. But yeah, how do you see this sort of game going? What are you most excited for?
Yeah, I think that's going to be probably one of the most exciting ones of the weekend. I think Kingfisher and Norwich actually play in quite a similar way now. The Knights of a few years ago had a much more traditional structured division with Charlie Vogwell and Josh Rowe, but now play a lot more dynamically down both ends. So that's something that surprised me about playing Knights this year. They will shoot without a rebound. Everyone's always on the move, and that is very much what the way that Kingfisher like to play too. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that balances out. I expect there will be a lot of goals in this game for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Hope that we see as many goals as possible and hope it's recorded. We've got it on good authority that we're going to get content, which would be great. So let's call out there. Let's have a fun game of who do you think the key matchups are going to be in this game, Caitlin?
Yeah. So for me, I think Claire Deek for Norwich Knights has been pivotal for many years, and I'd like to see her play against Aisha Chowdhury. Obviously, Claire likes to score a lot of goals, often does, and Aisha being top defender, be really great to see those two battle it out on the girls' side.
Yeah, no, for sure. I also think dependent on who's available, be great as well to see potentially if it's going to be Owen. Who knows if he's going to make an appearance again? But if it's Owen or if it's Liam Geddes, I think we're all sort of definitely clamouring to see that Luke Quint-McKenzie versus one of those two matchups to see, how that's going to go down. All quite prolific shooters on the outside if given the opportunity.
Yeah, goal fest.
And then, and I think a lot on the line for that one. A lot on the line. I think really those are two teams that are competing for that top 4 spot. So yeah, a lot on the line there. And then we've got Bearsted versus Nomads next. Again, another really exciting game. Interesting. Obviously, Nomads coming off that loss they had a few weeks back. I think they're missing Ollie Bell for that. Hopefully, he's back in the picture because he's quite an imperative player for the Nomads. And then, what other sort of key matchups do you see here, Caitlin?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Not a fixture we've seen in the National League for many, many years. On the boys' side, we've got Jack Chambers of Bearsted, who will score a lot of their goals. And I'd love to see him play against Sam Lee, I think, of Nomads. I think fairly similar players in style, but not a matchup we've seen. I don't know if they've ever played against each other. So that would be really interesting to see how they balance each other out or not, as we may see. And then on the girls' side, I think that's also a really interesting one. We've obviously got Hannah Bealey for Bearsted, who's been a prolific goal scorer for many years in the league, and Nomads have had kind of a high turnover in their girls this year, a lot going to university, some kind of inconsistencies in their starting 8. If Hannah can score a lot of goals for Bearsted, I think that can make this fixture closer than some people might expect.
Yeah, definitely agree. Really excited to see Hannah and hear how hopefully they record it. I don't have some recordings from either of those two teams actually yet. So I'd love if they could get that uploaded because I would love to see how those matchups fare. I think you're right. They're definitely two key matchups. And then next up, this is the game, bar the bet game. But really, this is the game that I'm most excited for this weekend, Caitlin. This is going to be Tornadoes versus Bromley. Now, both young teams, the youth of the English Korfball League, really. The last year's results were a whopping 32-27 game went in Tornadoes' favour, but that's, again, a number of goals. Fantastic to see that. And then Tornadoes also won the reverse fixture 27-22 as well. So got both the results last year. Both very young teams, very excited for this, high scoring each time they're playing. Who should we be looking out for and what matchup should we look out for this week, Caitlin?
Yeah, firstly, an apology from me to Bromley for saying that the other week was the first time you scored more than 20 goals. I realised that you've done that already this year. Big sorry for that. But I think scoring more than 20 will be definitely necessary to win this game. for either team, definitely judging by those scores last year. On the boy front, I think Tom Young, who we spoke about with Ross Carr-Taylor in the first episode, against Luke Buckland will be a really great clash. Tom obviously playing a more of a point attacker role now that that division has Lucian Kenny-Dwyer in, but coming up against a really versatile player in Luke Buckland who can kind of do a bit of everything. So will be really good to see how those two match up. I hope they do. That could be a really crucial one in this game.
Yeah, definitely excited to see how that matchup plays out. I also think on the girl side for this one, I might potentially butcher this name, so apologies if I do, but Kushala Karunaratne. Apologies, Kushala, if I've ruined that. But her versus Eleanor Parker, I think would be a phenomenal matchup. Kushala played exceptionally well in the Trojans game that I watched. She's been growing as a player year over year, and I think she's going to be a prominent feature of the England setup moving forward. And I think Eleanor Parker coming back, I think somebody said she wasn't there for all of the year last year. She's obviously back in full flow now. We know she's one of the most lethal players in the entire league. Be really interesting to see if she can kind of shut her down defensively and work her in the attack, and how that matchup's going to play out. Very, very excited to see that one as well, and can't wait to see the result. I hope the game's as good as it's ever been, and I'm sure there'll be some spice on the sidelines as well, don't you reckon, Caitlin?
I don't know about that.
I love it.
Hopefully.
Right. And then next up, we've got Tigers versus Trojans. So last year's result was a 26-20 win for Trojans, and then also a 23-10 win for Trojans as well. What do we need to look out for in this game, Caitlin?
Yeah, another one up in Cambridge, so got to factor in travel there for Trojans. It always makes things a little bit more difficult. For me, Alex Derham, Neela Brennan, which is actually quite hard to say back to back, those two names, will be a really great matchup. Alex is really, really great defender, very physically fit, super competitive in the best way, that is always up for it. And she will be great to see her play against Neela, who obviously we've spoken about, scores lots of goals, always has, often, and I think will for many years. Yeah, that will be a pretty feisty one, I think, between those two.
Yeah, nice. And any thoughts on the boy front?
Yeah, we've thinking probably Sam in this. Maybe Sam Galvin, Sam Brooks will be a good one. A real test for Sam Galvin, for any player against one of the best in the league currently, Sam Brooks, who was incredible in the game that we played against Trojans. If Sam Brooks gets into his normal shooting form, that would of course cause a lot of problems for Sam Galvin and Cambridge Tigers. So it would be great to see how that whole division works to try and neutralise the threat of Sam Brooks.
Yeah, very intrigued. I think most people would assume if Andy and Sam Galvin are playing together that Andy potentially would take that role, but actually with Luis Vargas being in the Trojans team and being that big kind of strong boy that likes to just float into the post and try and collect any sort of loose change, I think that makes a really good matchup for Andy and Luis as well. So I think that makes the key matchup of that division Sam versus Sam. I think that would be really intriguing. I'm definitely with you there. And then lastly, Caitlin, we have the Beck versus Bristol game. As John Bagnall coined it, the Ernie B. That's a reference to our home ground for those that don't know. Ernest Bevan is the school's name. Ernie B. there, I think, is what he said. So yeah, it is first versus second this week. And Bristol are currently first for the record. Beck do have a game in hand, but Bristol are first and Beck are second. So yeah, I guess a bit strange for you to probably talk about, Caitlin. Because you're likely going to feature as a big part of this game, whereas I won't. But yeah, just talk to me about how you think the game overall might go out, and then maybe we can speak about some key matchups there as well.
Yeah, obviously really exciting game for myself and for the team. The thing you mentioned there about Bristol currently being top of the league, we do have a game in hand, but winning this game would put us top, and just kind of mentally would be a great place to be in, and it's something to kind of fight for in this game, even though it is quite early on in the season. We could talk about dozens of different matchups here, but I think on the girl front, we've obviously spoken about Kira Wilcox on this podcast before. She is one of the players in great form right now, has scored a lot of goals so far this season, so it would be great to see how she fares against a strong Beck team with really great defenders in it. Particularly her versus Shannon Jones would be a great one. And Ashley Warner, both really competent defenders who I think will be really excited to play against someone like Kira, who's in such great form.
Yeah, very, not to discount any of the other Bristol players. I think they've got a new player called Saskia, who they mentioned. I haven't seen her play that much. But yeah, in terms of point attackers for the girls, I think we're looking to see Lizzie and Kira, and it'll be really great to see what Kira can do in this space. Didn't call out last year's results, Caitlin. So just before we go into some of the boy matchups, I do just want to call out what the last year's results were. And so we had 25-16 win for Beck at Bristol. It was a 33-19 win at Ernest Bevin. And then in the final, it was a 35-14 win. So very, very confident and strong Beck showing towards the end. But the reality is, I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup and all over the court. But I personally, the one that I'm excited for on the boy front is I would like to see Laurie Fabian versus Dav Patel, right? I think that Dav is one of the strongest players in the National League over the last however many years. I actually don't know how long Dav's been playing, but he's the captain of Beck, he's the talisman, he's the leader. We know that especially in certain areas, he's got a phenomenal shot, incredible at the rebound. People that don't realise just how strong he is in that area, a really good player there. And I think that if you allow Dav freedom and you sort of drop off Dav, he can just punish teams, and he has done. When he wasn't there for that season that we were there, we really struggled with sometimes having someone to put the ball in the basket in the way that he does so frequently and control a division and bring a lot of calmness and control to the team. So he's a vital player for Beck. And on the opposite side of that, I think that Laurie is Bristol's, I'm going to call it the win condition. I think when he plays well, I think Bristol look outstanding. And I think depending on what division he's in, if he's with Toby Clark or if he's with James Wilcox, goals all over the field from both those sets of boys. So I think if him versus Dav would be a really spicy matchup, and I'd like to see how that kind of plays out.
It's also great because Dav actually coached Laurie through a lot of the England youth setup. So it's always quite fun to see a coach play someone they've coached, and to see how that all works out will be quite a fun one too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that there was some great matchups last year that everybody can go back and watch and whatever, but it is first versus second. We're already going to get in trouble for talking too much about Beck versus Bristol, but listen, it's an exciting fixture this week. The other fixtures I genuinely am buzzing for as well. We plan on doing a league table, but because right now there's so many mismatched games, we missed our game with Nomads, and it doesn't really shape up the same way we'd like it to. So we'll probably do that next week. But very exciting, Caitlin. Very exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
But with that in mind, how do we feel about bringing on our lovely guest?
Oh, go on then.
She has to, right? Here we go. Arguably, for Korf's sakes, number one fan. One of the most synonymous voices within English Korfball. This guest has been the soundtrack to many of the big games that we've all enjoyed over the years. But not just an icon off the court, also got some exceptional accolades on it as well. Currently playing a Korfball in the Regional and Promo League for Birmingham. Former National League player and former England international as well. Was also the former head coach of the Wales international team. She's conquered most of British Korfball, and now she's coming to help us conquer the podcast game. World Korfball has her age down as 835. Ladies and gentlemen, the Benjamin Button of Korfball. It's Jess Davies.
Wow. Wow. What an intro. Wow.
We do our research.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking good for it, aren't I? I mean, 800. I've watched that tick up every few years. I don't know how that's happened. I don't know how I've gained.
You were aware of it?
Oh, yeah. Since I was maybe 700 odd. But it's an interesting one.
It aligns really nicely. With the falsified stats, Caitlin, that I've been producing, it aligns nicely that there's absolutely no consistency with any of the statistics that we put on this podcast.
Yeah, who knew that World Korfball wasn't that reliable? Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Jess. How are you? How's the week?
Busy week, busy day. Just clocked off from mum duties. So, thanks so much for having me. Thrilled to be here. A few people have been saying for the past couple of weeks, "Oh, that podcast is really good. You need to get on there." I was like, I don't know how to do that. And then suddenly, wow, look what happens. But yeah, no.
In the DMs every day.
Every day. I'm proud to be a number one fan.
But we're very, very grateful, to be fair. Very grateful, Jess. It's a bit strange, or I guess surreal. Caitlin's been in the game a long time, but when I was first starting to watch Korfball, you were kind of the voice of when I listened. You and Tom Brady. It was very close for me to make a comment regarding you being the second most iconic duo in Korfball, and then referencing me and Caitlin. But I figured that realistically, that's just utter nonsense. So, you obviously,
Not in this day and age, I reckon, yeah. Me and Tom have got to run for our money as popular duos go. But yeah, I mean, look, Tom is the voice of Korfball, isn't he? No one will ever take that title away from him. Definitely, if he's not on your radar for guests on the podcast, definitely needs to be on there. Because who doesn't want to hear Tom say bobble off the top, or he's got the hot hand, or any of Tom's classic phrases.
Too big, too strong.
Too big, too strong.
too big, too strong.
That's got to be my favourite.
I think that is my favourite. I take a moment every time he says it next to me. I'm just there for a moment, just go, yep, that's another one. Little tally in my head as to, yep, another one for Tom.
Yeah, but I guess, Jess, to begin with, we kind of do this with most of our podcast guests, that we just kind of want to get an idea, I guess. How did you kind of start Korfball? Where did you find it?
Gosh, a long time ago, that's for sure. Not 800 years ago. It was around over 25 years ago now, I think. I started at Bearsted, as so many of us do. But a long time ago. So my starting team is pretty legendary. I started in the same team as Joe Bedford, Tash Dawson, John Haggart, Emma was Hines, now Denton. So, there's a lot of us still around, still playing. And that team was really pretty iconic. But I started there, played there for a short while, decided I needed to make a move to a bit of a bigger club, try and play some National League Korfball. So I went to Mitcham, who have since rebranded. But they were kind of, I don't think I'm doing anybody a disservice by saying they were kind of the Trojans before Trojans were Trojans. They were kind of the team that were competing with Trojans and, were doing the back-to-back. And then Trojans came along and obviously went on their insane run. I went to Quick for a few seasons before they folded and joined Invicta to form KB. This is how long, like the number of clubs who aren't around anymore that I've played. I spent 2 weeks at Nomads. I then
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
As you do.
I don't know. That's the sort of thing that you should really call. It doesn't do great numbers for them, does it?
There's no disservice.
You saw Epsom College and you
Yeah.
were like, I don't want to play in this one, but it's too small.
Too small. How that court gets approved every year, I don't know. I went to uni, went to Birmingham Uni, had some great years there. Spent couple of seasons at Nottingham City, commuting to play there, and then finally found my feet at Birmingham City and have been there for a while. I did have a couple of years off to go and have a baby, but now I'm back at Birmingham City. So yeah, it's been a bit. I think that's 7 different clubs. So yeah, get around. It's been said.
Clip it.
That'll be the thumbnail.
Clip it, yeah. I didn't realise you'd been so many before even going to university.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you mentioned that Mitcham team there, but we haven't actually spoken about them before. But kind of when I started Korfball was kind of just as that Mitcham team had dropped off, I guess, and the Trojans were on that massive insurgence. What kind do you remember the kind of players you played with there and how that experience really benefited you?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it was such a learning curve. I think so. The players that were around that time, I mean, Joe had gone there, I think, the season before.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of did the whole carpooling thing, and we were still too young to drive. So our parents had to take it in turns to ferry us up to London 3 times a week, which was good of them.
Wow.
Yeah, so Joe was there. And then you had, it was effectively at the time an All England team. You had the likes of Karen Sparrow, who I think was an England captain, Amy Evans, now Woodvine. You had the likes of Dave Sinnott was there, Deep Green, Ross Bauer, Dean Woods, Pete Teague, so many great players, like proper old school players, but it was a really, really great place to go and learn. Like I learned so much. I think in a way for me, it's tricky because I did learn a lot. I think for me personally, it was a bit of a too big a jump for me. I think I hadn't been. Oh, I hate all this. It's really hard to find the right line between being honest and just what sounds like you're being really arrogant. But I think at the time in that Bearsted team, I was one of the best. Like I got moved from division to division to try and help make things work. And yet then I went to Mitcham, and actually I think in a way it kind of stalled my development. I think because I was maybe just a fraction too young. I think I moved on a bit too soon, and playing around those people, I just suddenly thought, well, I shouldn't be shooting. I should just be assisting. And I fell into what in the day was a typical girl's role of you're just here to assist. And nobody ever said that to me. That was nothing to do with the club or the players. I think it was just in my own head. I kind of went, I'm not good enough to shoot when there's better people to pass to. So I think in a way, it actually kind of hindered my game a little bit. And actually, that's when going to university really helped me, because suddenly, as soon as you say, oh, well, I have played before a bit, you're just treated like an absolute god. And suddenly, everyone is just relying on you. And it really, really helped my game, because suddenly I was like, right, actually, yes, I'm going to attack and I'm going to shoot and I'm going to try and do all these things. So actually, mine was a bit of a difference to how I think a lot of other people view it, in that, you go to the bigger club. And like I think, James, you've said it, going to Beck and getting to train with the best is absolutely insane. And I think that is true for so many players. I think for me, it was a bit too early. I think I was still a bit too young. And actually, maybe it's a personality thing. I think I just retreated into myself and became a bit, a bit unsure. So it was great, and I did learn a lot. But equally, I think for my game, it hindered me a little bit.
Yeah, and then you say like going to university, do you refound that slightly? Would you say?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And how would you say that university experience kind of shaped you as a player? What kind of level were Birmingham doing at the time and things like that?
Yeah, so Birmingham had won Bucks the year before, and so I went there thinking, this is going to be amazing, and it was. To be fair, I went to uni thinking I was going to have a break from korfball. I'd kind of had enough. Clearly, I'd moved around a couple of different clubs, and I think the politics was getting a bit too much. So I was going to not play. Went along to netball, started doing that, but it just wasn't the same. And I thought, look, I'll go along. I think Nick Wilkins, who's also a bit of a korfball legend, was coaching at the time. So he had heard that I was there, and so he reached out and just said, "Oh, just come along to a session, just give it a go." And I was like, "Oh, hold on." And went along to one and absolutely fell in love with it because of the people. The people were just so kind and welcoming, and just again, there was this sense of, "Oh, you've played before," and they just get so excited that you turn up and you've got korfball shoes and you're changing into korfball shoes, which when everyone turns up in their trainers and you just start playing. They're like, oh wow, yeah, you have played before. And you take one shot and suddenly everyone's going, wait a minute, we've got something here. So just
you use two hands.
What? You shoot and it reaches the top of the court. What's this? I think I just needed that little bit. I don't know if it was a bit of an ego boost. I don't know. I just needed that little bit of people coming around me and going, oh, you're good. It just did wonders for my game. Just, I was suddenly like, right, I can be the main attacker and it's okay for me to shoot and score goals. And I just loved it. I just really needed those. It was a shame because Birmingham weren't in a league at the time, not in my fresher year. So that was a bit of a shame. We only had the Bucks competition. But then again, maybe that was what I needed, because it took me, like I say, I wanted to get away from korfball for a little bit. So it allowed me just to have the social element, which I'd missed out on for a few years. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, that's, I mean, we've all, at times when you've played korfball for a while, have had that maybe needing a break kind of feeling. But then
it just
great that you're able to still keep it involved. Yeah, like I didn't play at all last year. And I've never, coming back this year, I've never felt more kind of excited for the season ahead, really. And I want to get back into like the England setup if I can, and things like that. So yeah, great that you were able to kind of find that balance. Sounds like it was exactly what was needed at the time. And great to mention Nick, legend of the game and commentating legend too. Jonathan coming from Great Games too. Yeah, so I'm assuming you played a lot of box stuff at the time. How much fun was that, and how important is something like bucks to the korfball community?
You can't, especially in this day and age, you cannot put a price on that bucks competition. I mean,
Yeah.
so when I was at uni, there was only, let me think about this and get this right. I think there was only the one competition. I don't think there was, now there's the plates and there's so many different competitions and there's so many different teams. I mean, when I was at uni, I feel so old now doing all this. When I was at uni, back in my day, I think UOB had maybe 2 teams, and now they've got something ridiculous like 6, 7. It's insane. So yeah, you cannot put a price on that competition, and you can see it now in the National League. Even the number of players who are now coming out of uni and carrying on, it's invaluable. It's where we get the majority of our player base. So I know we go on about COVID a lot, but it was really really hard not having Korfball for those years, and the people who played, I mean, I didn't, but the people who played the COVID rules version of Korfball.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, less said about that, the better, because that is just not Korfball. But yeah, bucks is invaluable, and that's whatever version of bucks it is. But that competition and getting people used to playing against different people, and the standard of competition is actually really really good. I think it's great that we're now seeing people who are playing as juniors and then go to university, and it's really bringing people on. So James, like I know that you're saying that you were coached by Blake, and Blake was at Brighton with you, and that's fantastic. That exposure to a player like that when you're in your early years is phenomenal. You can't beat that really. So yeah, I think the Bucks setup is so important, and in a way, I think we need to do more to put a spotlight on student korfball in a way. Like I know people have been saying it for a few years, and I know when we were at the Korfball, there were talks around we'd love to almost host like the Bucks final alongside the grand final. And it's tricky because you also don't want to take away from Bucks. You want Bucks to be seen as its own thing, and the prestige that comes with playing that final in front of all the other students is great. But I think there's something that has to be done to kind of showcase student korfball, and whether that's I know they're doing more now with the student squads. I think it's Corinne Buckland that's leading that at the moment.
Yes.
So I think that's great. That long may that continue. And that's what a coach to get to develop those students. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I want to speak to that quickly, Caitlin. There's 2 things on that. Couldn't agree more with what you're saying there, Jess. It's student korfball is just such a positive. Firstly, just the vibe of going to those tournaments is fantastic, and there's nothing quite like it. Everybody's really friendly, and we had a bit of a mantra at Brighton, which is like, come for the sport, stay for the people, right? And that, and it's not just Brighton that has that. I know that everybody else feels that same way, and it's kind of like a thing. And I think student korfball really did propel, a lot of the Beck players that when I first joined Beck were all people that I went to university with. I think Supernova, Highbury have really benefited off the back of years of, fantastic korfball. Manchester have a number of clubs up there doing really well. It's all kind of very university based, and I love your idea of trying to shine a light more. We are trying to do that, and that brings me on to point 2 of a public outcry. We are in Corinne Buckland's inbox. We are attempting to get her onto this podcast. We want her. We want some of the Student Korfball Association to come on, and we want some players to come on, and we want to do a spotlight episode on how great korfball is before their preliminary tournaments. We want to go there for their grand tournaments. We are very keen to do that on the podcast. I'm pleased you brought it up, and I'm pleased that it shows there's more appetite from other people to see it as well. So, yeah, if we reach out to you, that's our cry to please come on and shine the spotlight with us.
Do it.
Yeah, and also it's something I went to university in London, where there are no korfball teams at any London universities still, and also pretty much the exact 3 years I was there was the GB student team just wasn't being run for those few years. Yeah. So this is the whole world that I actually haven't really experienced and don't know loads about. So I'm actually really looking forward to hearing a lot more about the different competitions. Obviously, now having played and all of that, and the prelims coming up and how it all works. Yeah, it should be really fun. And I know there are other listeners like myself who have played for a long time, but actually that's completely untouched in the world. So really hope to be able to bring that. I'm just obviously went to uni, and then you've also now back in Birmingham, but playing Birmingham City, who have been in the National League several years ago. Managed to stay up for a few seasons, but haven't been back up there for a couple of years now. And the way that a team re-enters the National League is they throughout the year play various promo league matches. There are 2 promo leagues in the country. Birmingham are in the North and West Premier League, I think it's called, with Leeds Hurricane, Manchester Hawks and Cardiff Raptors. The Southern League consists of Oxford City, Supernova, Harrow and Highbury. And the first round of matches have taken place, and we're actually a very exciting set of results. I want to talk to you just about that round of games, but firstly, kind of where you feel Birmingham City are at this year currently, and what your aims are for the end of this season.
It's a tricky one. We've got such a strong squad of players. The strongest that I've seen in a long time. We're really fortunate in that the regional league that we're in isn't much of a challenge for us. I think that's. I don't think I'm doing anybody a disservice by saying that. At the moment we're winning most games, 20 goals. It's so the promo games are fantastic. It's exactly what we need. We're really fortunate in that the last couple of years we've picked up some great players, two great players out of university in Matt and Tom Wilcox. We managed to pick up Nikki and Matt Morgan, both from Cardiff City. And we've got so many players who've been at Birmingham for quite a while. But so it's a really, really strong squad. We are that kind of, and maybe it's because I'm one of those players, but I do feel like we are that typical yo-yo team. We, like you say, we've been in the National League numerous times. We've gone up, we've come down, we've gone up again, and we've come back down again. There was a time way back when we were in National League, possibly the second time, when we were kind of done a little dirty, because that was the year that the National League was reduced from 10 teams to 8 teams or something.
Yes,
it got smaller.
And
even though we'd won enough games had we have stayed up the previous year, we wouldn't have been relegated. So we were a bit hard done by that scene. But we've since gone back up and come straight back down again. So it's really, really challenging. It can be done, obviously. So it's not just the fact that we're a club that's outside of London and Kent, because we've now seen it with the likes of Bristol Thunder. Cambridge Tigers have been up there for a good, really, they're a mainstay now, hopefully. So, it's proven that it can be done. I think we suffer a bit with a number of things. We have got an ageing club a little bit. When some of us aren't as young as we used to be, when you're all 800, it gets a bit tricky on the knees. So I think we do have that. Some of us, myself included, we've started families. There's a few of us there now that are parents, which again sounds mad to say, but that's a factor. Suddenly you don't want to spend your whole weekend playing Korfball. But the Promo League has been great. It gives us really good competition. Like you say, the matches so far this season have been really good. So we played Cardiff Raptors a couple of weeks ago, who I think will be our toughest competition this season. Maybe not. I think it's actually been a really good competition on our side of the draw. But they've got some really good players. They've really benefited from a lot of players kind of moving from Cardiff City over to Raptors, a few moving from City over to Bristol Thunder. So Raptors have picked up some good players, and they had some good players already. So they're looking like a good side. We had a really good fixture against them. We won 12-10, I think it was, in a close game. So the return fixture will be one to watch. And it was a draw in the other game between Manchester Hawks
Yes.
and Leeds Hurricanes. And so, again, Leeds are a bit of an unknown side for us. Well, I've certainly never played them. Birmingham may have done at some point. But so, yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what they bring, especially I know they've been doing a lot of work up in that region with the Northern Development Hub. So both Hawks and Leeds, got some players in that. I think that's really, really great for the sport. We need more areas kind of doing that to develop areas outside of London and Kent. So that's great. So yeah, we've got some really good fixtures. We've got Manchester Hawks this weekend. We are planning to try and live stream the game. So hopefully people can check that out. But yeah,
Nice.
the Promo League is great. I do, however, think that I'm also part of this kind of subcommittee of people who are trying to lobby for the National League 2 to make a return. So effectively merging the two promo leagues and having not necessarily a reserve National League, but a National League 2. So all of these teams can have week in, week out, really high level competitions. I think it's something that is at the moment, the EKA have got plans for it to be in not next season, but the following season. It would be great if maybe they could bring that forward by a season. It would be fantastic. A lot of really hard work has been done by some really passionate, clever, dedicated people to put together a proposal that was taken to the EKA. I think there's plans for there to be some kind of, what's the word? They're going to do some, what's the word? They're going to put the proposal to all the people and they'll have a presentation and they'll talk through it all. And yeah, they're going to do that hopefully sometime this season. But we're crying out for it. I think we need it. I think a lot of people, the problem that Birmingham has certainly faced is when they're going to the National League, it's not just the travel, because that seems to be the thing the EK keeps saying to us is surely it's just the travel. And if you go back to the National League 2, you're just going to be travelling again. It's not the travel. It's the lack of exposure to high level korfball. So you, like I say, we play in the regional league. We beat teams by 20 goals. Suddenly we get into the National League and you're playing against Beck, Bristol, Trojans. And you're travelling 3 hours, 6 hour round trip to know that you're going to lose by 20, 30 goals. That's not great motivation for anyone to say, yes, sign me up. So it's the gap in the standard for me is the big blocker. That's what needs addressing. And I think by introducing National League 2, we can do that. And there's so many other things that it could help as well. I know we've got a massive problem with referee shortages at the moment across the country. And if we can move towards multi-game venues, that's only going to help. Most of our referees are current players. And if we could split National League 1 and 2 across Saturdays and Sundays, suddenly players that are playing in the National League and the Promo League can referee those games. It makes sense on so many levels. I appreciate it takes an awful lot of work by a lot of clever people to pull all the strings and get everything working. But yeah, a lot of people have done a lot of really good work behind the scenes to get the proposal together. So yeah, exciting times.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds. Sorry, go on, James.
No, you go, Caitlin.
No, I was going to say it's really great to speak to you about these kind of things, because that's to hear about developments that maybe not everyone's aware of, and to also really understand the reasons why. Obviously, the Korfball League 2 exists in the Netherlands. You've seen women's football do a similar thing, introducing the WSL 2, not just having the women's championship, to address that. The quality gap. That sounds disrespectful, but the jump, and to try and kind of bridge that. And I think that a lot of the teams within that Promo League mix would love that opportunity. And I really hope it gets tested to see when we stick with it long enough to see if it works. But yeah, it's exciting developments. So yeah, James, I don't know what you wanted to know.
No, you kind of, I think, hit the nail on the head there, Caitlin. I definitely as well, Jess, I'm cautious on time. When we get Tom on, we really wanted to get you on as well. We thought it'd be such a fun dynamic to have the four of us all together and chatting Korf, but would definitely love to get maybe a snippet into, when did you move into to commentating. You really excel there in terms of that area. You and Tom together are obviously great, but that's definitely something that I wanted to find out about and how you find it. And
Sure. So, oh gosh, it all came about because I think I was at one of the finals back when we were doing them at Whitgift, and I was just there and I was listening along, and I've known Tom for a while because he was a founder of University of Birmingham Korfball Club. So I'd known him for a bit through that, and then he was doing some commentary there with Nick. And I think Charlie Vogwell was doing the finals at the time.
He's got to get on the mic if he can.
Of course. Why not? And so I listened to it back and I messaged Tom and just said, "Oh, I thought the girls were doing some interesting thing in that final that you didn't mention, and here are my thoughts." And he was like, "Oh, you're right. I've watched it back, and you're right. I didn't mention the girls that much, and yeah, they were doing some interesting things. Oh, it would be really good to have a girl's perspective, or a female perspective on the game." And that was it. That was as far as that conversation went. And then the next year, I was there watching it again, and Charlie was supposed to do the final, but for some reason couldn't or didn't, or he was injured and he wasn't there, or there was some reason why he wasn't available. So Tom literally turned to me that day and went, "You're on. You're doing it." And
yes,
oh my gosh. It was a baptism by fire. I mean, I cannot listen back to any of those early. I mean, even I struggle to listen back to anything I do now, but those early games are so bad. I mean, they're so bad. It's really, really cringeworthy. No. And even now, I've got so much to learn, and Tom is just the best person to learn from. And it's just so great because he is such a good mate of mine that we've developed through doing the commentary and stuff, that I do think we've got a really good rapport, and we do bounce off each other, and I can just see his little eyes lighting up when something happens, and he can just turn to me, and we just love talking about korfball. There's so many people that love talking about korfball, and I think there's this corny phrase that keeps coming to mind about you've got to be the change you want to see, and for me that's been the truth throughout my whole korfball career. So I've never been coached by a female coach, have I? I don't think I have. And so that was kind of why I got into coaching. So I was like, women have a voice. We make up half of the team. So it's important that we are represented as coaches. That's why I got into coaching. And it was the same for commentary. I was like, well, wait a minute. We're not talking about the really good thing that girl just did that you didn't even recognize that they were doing, because you don't see it in the same way, because it's a different sport for the girls. So I was like, wait a minute, we need to get some female representation. And so if anything comes out of my poor attempts at commentary and coaching, it's that if some young girl watches it and goes, "Oh, she's doing it, that means that I can do it." That's all I want to achieve through anything that I've done, is just one more person going, "Oh, we need more women in roles of leadership within this sport." So hopefully that's one thing that we might be able to achieve.
Yeah, I don't want to get too sidetracked, 'cause it's an important point, but it's definitely a reason why I want to referee, is because it's something that it's always been quite obvious to me in a sport where the team is 50-50, the coaching, the refereeing, jury, all of it isn't attractive for women to want to do, or they don't feel like it's something they can do. So fully understand that, and really think that's great that's a big motivation for you doing coaching and commentating, all of it. And it's not been lost on me. Definitely noticed. So ideal. And you've also voiced many of my korfballing heartbreaks in all those finals against Trojans.
Oh no!
But you said some nice things during the game, so it's allowed.
That's good.
No, I do think as well, it's so important to have that secondary voice and in terms of making sure that both sides of the coin are shared. It's awesome seeing you and Tom up there together and representing both sides. And I always think that you get such good insight from it. And I think anybody that's ever tried to do anything like that, me and Caitlin have just stepped into this podcast world where we are not recorded live. It is not a live thing that we're doing, and it's still we still make so many mistakes and laugh and whatever, and nobody hears it because I edit it out. But it is so difficult what you and Tom do. Like, I cannot express enough to everybody how good, like how impressive it is what you two do, how professional it is. You're on the BBC when they did the copper box, and I'm like, that's a totally different animal. That is a different animal, right?
That was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But I mean, what an experience. It was so great. So great to be involved with. But oh my gosh. Suddenly, oh, by the way, today you're going to do a 20-minute intro to the whole, before the final even starts. You're going to be, I think we had Andrew Hall and Steph Watson with us, and we're going to do a whole panel, and we're going to, you know, all these things. It's just like, what are we doing? And then, you know, you're going to have a producer behind the camera counting you in as to when you've got, and it was just a whole other world of what on earth are we doing, Tom? Just holding Tom, just like, help me. But yeah, I mean, it's terrifying. It genuinely is. And you've been so kind. But I mean, I would encourage everybody to give it a go. Because you're right, I do think people think it's probably easier than you said. Mm-hmm. But then I think actually there are some people who would be so good at it. And if you don't give it a go, you just don't know. So I think people should, even if you're just recording your local game and you're talking over it, do it. Like, just the more you do it, the easier it gets. But B, you guys are absolutely smashing this podcast game. I mean, you know, I know everybody comes on and they say it, but seriously, hats off to you guys, because not only are you doing it and it's what we need, but it's really great content as well. Like, you're producing really insightful, really thought-provoking, enjoyment material. Like, it's just so good. So yeah, hats off. Claps all round for everyone. It's on the back.
Yes, we pay all our guests for.
Mate, can you imagine if there was that money in Korfball, we were paying guests? That's unfortunately not happening. But listen, we're very grateful. Very grateful. I think there's a lot of inspiration in the podcast taken genuinely from the way that you and Tom bounce off each other. I think I do think as well that it will be really cool if more people do it. I thought that Liam Woodcock and Lizzie did an absolutely phenomenal job in their coverage of the games that I've watched from them.
For sure.
I would love to hear them more. Like, at the end of the day, I think that if you guys have to do every single game, I think the reality is it's going to be a really challenging 5 hours to sit there and do all day. I think having other people to be able to go in there only elevates their opportunity in their game, but also you guys, because you get to spend more time focusing on the game that you're actually going to commentate on for the big audience, making sure you've got the statistics, everything that goes on behind the scenes to make that what it is, people don't realize. And I think that, I'd love to see, like you say, more people getting involved in that. Like Steph Watson, how good was she on the Andy? Andy was incredible on the Copper Box coverage. Amazing. Like, so yeah, I'd love to see more of that as well, by the way. Maybe like you had Steph coming in, doing specific bits of commentary for a specific part of the game, and then you and Tom went back to it afterwards. I thought that was a phenomenal addition. I'd love to see more of that as well if we've got capacity to do that in the future.
For sure. No, you've hit the nail on the head. We need more people, 100%. And you're right, then the product's only going to get better, isn't it? I mean, we're trying to introduce stats and things, and we're slowly getting there, but we're not there. But it takes a whole team of people to make this better, and that's what we all want at the end of the day, isn't it? I mean, that's the sole reason I've got involved in so many of these things. Is I just love Korfball, and I just want to make it better. And if, like I say, if somebody sees me doing it poorly, they'll go, I can do it better than her, and then they'll go and do it better, and then that's all I want.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure about that. But just before we go, Jess, I want to do two things, if that's all right. One, I want to give you an opportunity to shout out any players that you might be excited about, any players that you think coming into the season that you might say, do you know what, I want to give them a shout out first and foremost. So I'll kind of give the floor to you. You can make it your own team if you want, or you can talk about National League, or you can talk about whatever. It's kind of your opportunity to, say some words on some Korfball.
There are so many players. There's so many players. I mean, I'm obsessed with National League. I always will be. It was strange how when I watched Charlie's video, his podcast, it was because we're the same. Well, maybe I'm doing myself a little bit of a disservice, but we're the same generation. A lot of his top picks were my top picks. We're from the same squads, effectively. I mean, National League wise, I think he's got it pretty spot on. But I mean, gosh, there's so many other players. So many. And I know I know I've completely sidetracked every conversation, every question that you've asked me. I'm sorry, you'll have to edit all. But I know at one point Caitlin mentioned that everybody comes from Vested, and it's so true. And there were talks at one point, I think pre-COVID, about doing some kind of Vested all-star team versus the Trojans team at the time. And it was like, oh, we need to do that because that team would be insane. But gosh,
great idea.
Yeah, promo-wise, there's so many promising people in and around the promo league. That Cardiff Raptors team, like I say, really wants to watch out for. I think pretty much every single player in that squad that we played against certainly was either in the Wales full national team or in the development squad. So some really great players there. Really exciting players to look out for. Liv Tyso, who was at University of Birmingham, now part of Cardiff Raptors. Really exciting young girl coming through. Love watching her play. Who else do I like? Leeds Hurricanes, I don't know enough about them and I want to learn more because I think they've got an awful lot of England youth players playing for them at the moment. So I'm excited when we play against them. I think we've got them in December sometime. So I'm excited to see how they're shaping up because, again, I'm hearing some really, really great things. And obviously they've got Mike Hopkinson involved there, who's now... or what's his official title?
Performance lead, is it?
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. So, Adam's setting up the Northern Development Hub, like I've said, I think doing some really exciting things there. I think they're exciting players. And again, the same for Hawks. Salman, the coach there, I think he's doing a great job with them. They've got some really exciting, physical, dynamic boys. Dominic Coy, Josh Wilkinson, who else is there? Ross Fraser from Scotland. So yeah, they've got some really good players. Lauren Taylor is another one from Manchester Hawks. Strong girl, really strong. Comes up with scores lots of different types of goals. Not just she can only do running in shorts or she only shoots on the outside. She's a really dynamic player. So hoping that I get to I don't know. I don't know if I want to play against her at the weekend or if I don't. Depends how these knees are feeling. But there's just so many players and so little time.
It's always the way, isn't it, Caitlin? Whenever we speak to people, they want to name as many as they can, and we love it. We want to make sure we give the platform to people as well. But yeah, I guess I just really wanted to hear a little bit from you in terms of that's great as well to hear about the promo. We genuinely mean this. Me and Caitlin, we have a list and an episode order list that we have on like a Google sheet, and you and Tom are absolutely on there to come on, not just separately but also together. So Jess, you will hopefully, I hope you'll come back on at some point with us because we've got so much more to ask you. And I want to get into all the funny things that have happened on commentary over the years with the two of you. That's going to just be great content for everybody. Just want to say from me, just thank you very much. I'm sure Caitlin, she always has some lovely things to say as well.
No, yeah, really appreciate you giving us the time. And there's so many things we didn't touch on. We didn't even talk about playing for England, Great Britain, coaching Wales, any of that. So yeah, would be great to get you back and also with Tom to delve into all of that fun stuff. Yeah, really, really appreciate your time. Enjoyed this conversation a lot.
No, it's been great. Thank you so much for having me again. And obviously, love to come back. This has been great.
Biggest fan.
Yeah.
Biggest fan. Woo.
Yeah, and now we just have another person that we bump into in person, Caitlin, that we can just chew their ear off about Korfball and know that they're going to be just as happy hearing it. So that's great. We're adding to our collection of people we can just chew. So yeah, it's great.
Sure, I do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jess. I'm very grateful.
No worries. Really all right, guys. See you later.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, there we go, Caitlin.
Do you think we'll get an invite to her 900th birthday party?
No. I can't believe that 835 is great.
It's so good that she knew it as well.
Yeah, class. Also, just I can't believe now, when I first started doing these intros, looking at the stats, thinking, oh yeah, that must be correct. And now that I'm on this World Korfball a lot, I'm like, what was I thinking? Why did I? But she was lovely, wasn't she?
Yeah, really someone that has experienced so many aspects of the game. And has played, all over the country. So, really, really insightful.
Yeah, she was great. We're very lucky, aren't we? Very lucky to do this.
We are indeed. Loved
Awesome. Anyway, Caitlin, that's kind of summing us up for this episode. We'll give a shout out to our loyal and lovely listeners that we can confirm we have Aisha Chowdhury joining us next week to talk all things Kingfisher. So I'm sure we'll get an update on how that Knights game goes this week. But she's going to talk to us about England, life in Korfball. And yeah, we're really excited for her. She's one of the top players in England, and it's going to be a great opportunity to pick her brain. So any questions that you guys have, shoot us them on social media or on Instagram, on Facebook, however you kind of want to, YouTube comments, we don't care. But let us know what you want to hear from Aisha, because we want to make sure we're serving the content that you guys would like. Also, Caitlin, we're going to run a new segment that I want all the listeners to hopefully get excited about, which is Charlie Vogwell texts me, and this is 100% Charlie Vogwell's idea. Loves a quiz, clearly, right? But Charlie Vogwell, as we're calling it, we're going to coin this part of the show, Vogwell's Vital Stats, right? So
as if he's got his name in there, of course, yeah.
He's got to get the call out, hasn't he? He also called it himself. Wait, let me read this to you from my phone.
Can I put myself in the title?
Right. It just says, I said Vogwell's vital stats to him, and he said, and all he responded was, Vogwell's very difficult question, and then he's put the question. So I kind of think he's like alphaed me there in terms of that, like my suggestion's gone. But sorry, Vogwell's very difficult question for the week, folks, is which player has scored the most goals against Great Britain and England since records began? And those records are Charlie Vogwell recording all stats, which is an incredible feat for him. But that's 2006. So since 2006, which player has scored the most goals against Great Britain and England? So if you know the answer, can reach out to us on socials, but we will be revealing it in next week's podcast. So a reason to come back for more, eh, Caitlin?
Yeah, for sure. I have a few thoughts, but it's a great question. Yeah, interested to see what people think.
Yeah, and Caitlin's very excited as well. Good friends of Aisha, so it should be a fun episode, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be all right, I guess. No, very, very grateful she's agreed to come on. So yeah, but it'll definitely be a fun one.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, from us guys, again, thank you so much for listening. We're super grateful. We hope you enjoyed the conversation with Jess. You hope, you enjoyed a bit of our analysis on the look forward to what's going on this week in Korfball. And we look forward to welcoming you back at some point over the next couple of weeks to talk all things Korfball more.
We love Korfball.
Right. So I'll leave it to Caitlin to chime us out.
Chime. Chime. We're out.